Test 1, 2, 3.
Christmas, Blizzard gave to me a brand new SCV. On the second day of Christmas, Blizzard gave
PokerStrategy.com. Learn to win.
Hello everyone and welcome to the PokerStrategy.com rescheduled heads up tournament between, getting my headset adjusted, seems a little off, between TSLRevival and EmpireViolet. This of course was the $250 heads up match that we did have to reschedule previously due to the fact that there was a bunch of problems that ran into the scheduling with getting the players to play when we actually wanted them to play. So what we ended up having to do, we got them rescheduled. They ended up playing the games what would have been EU time, like in the early morning, like NA time, very late at night. So they just played the games about a day ago. So we're going to actually be commentating them from replays, but we decided to broadcast them at about our normally scheduled time for the heads-up tournament, so that everybody from the EU area who does typically tune into this broadcast would be able to see it. And then we'll have the VODs up for anybody else who has to tune into this later, of course. And what is up, Robin? I see him sitting in the chat, hanging out here. So we're going to be doing Violet versus Revival here, guys. We're going to be getting into Game 1 in just one moment. I thought I'd clear up the whole, is this from replays thing right away. It is going to be from replays because we did have to reschedule it for a time of day that wasn't really particularly good to broadcast it live. So we're going to move into game number 1, guys, here in just 1 second. And just to let you guys know, of course, it is going to be for $250 worth of prize pool. The winner gets $150, loser gets $100, and then on top of that, guys, it is a best of 7. Where the loser will pick the next map. So we're going to move into the game 1 right now, guys. Here we go. Introductions coming up in just one moment. Alright, guys, here we go into game number 1 of this best of 7 show match. Yeah, to be honest, my microphone looks like it is doing weird things, but that's okay. So here we go, guys. First off, going to be spawning as our purple Zerg player representing Team Empire. He is going to be Violet. Then his opponent going to be spawning over here to the north as our red Zerg player from Team the SCII Life. He was the winner of our daily and then our final table, taking out all the other winners of all the other dailies for this opportunity for this $250 best of 7 match with Violet. He is Revival. So here we go. Game number 1. We're going to be starting off on GSL's Daybreak. Of course, you do have the neutral supply depots, and then unlike the latter edition of Daybreak, you have the 5 mineral and 1 high yield rich Vespian geyser over in the middle of the map. So just slight adjustments and changes. This game was played just, as I said, a couple of days ago. So this is the old Overlord speed and the old Queen firing distance, just so that everybody is aware. Do see that Violet's going to immediately send out a scout. Do believe he is going to probably hatch first if he is sending out that 9 or 10 scout, and yes, he is indeed about to do that. See the drone already in place and will throw down the hatchery to take that hatch first. Meanwhile, back over here in the base of Revival, he has actually gone 14-14, gone gas into pool, so he will have just enough gas to start that Zergling speed right when his pool pops up. So he'll have a little bit of a tech advantage over Violet for just a tiny bit of time. See Violet just now throwing down his pool. So Violet is going to have to play a little bit defensively, at least at the very beginning of the game. Interesting that Violet taking quite a late gas, just now finally taking his gas at about 18 supply. Do see it Revival right now though, just starting to get out his first couple of Zerglings. Metabolic boost upgrade already on the way. So I'm going to be expecting Violet to probably go into faster Banelings, I'd assume. Just given the fact that he is going to be quite a bit delayed in metabolic boost. Of course, a couple of spine crawlers can help to deter any type of an all-in attempt. That and just knowing your opponent well. Do see that Revival is going to send out his drone, so probably will take his expansion here, but Violet will have a drone down here to block. So he will delay this expansion just a little bit longer here for Revival. See Revival immediately building a couple of drones, getting his queen started since he won't be able to actually get that hatchery done right away, but now he'll just have to wait for a second, and hatchery will indeed go down. Expansion is up now for Violet, going to immediately be throwing down a drone for a spine crawler. A couple of Zerglings out on the map, both of his queens on the way as well. See him now harvesting gas. Looks like he is just going to go straight to the metabolic boost upgrade, not going to try and go for banelings first. So there'll be a tiny bit of time here where Revival's going to have a little bit of ability to be aggressive if he wants to. Not going to be expecting him to, though. See this drone right at about 11 hit points. Now speed finishes up, picks off that one single drone. Now Revival probably going to just try and pick off one or two drones if he can. Does manage to get one second one. One hit point, just barely going to stay alive. Baneling Nest now on the way for Revival, so Revival definitely wants to try and get aggressive with his opponent potentially. Possible. Ooh, catching a queen over here. This would actually be quite bad if Violet loses. I don't think he's going to lose this Overlord. He should be able to skirt it away here from the queen. Queen should run out of real estate, but it is going to be pretty close as to whether he'll be able to take it out. Would supply block him? Nope, not going to be able to get it. Will be saved by Violet, which is pretty big, because if he would have lost that Overlord, it would have hurt him quite severely at this stage of the game. 10 Zerglings now on the way for Empire's Violet income-wise, guys. Revival with a slight lead, actually, at 26-22. Violet building a lot of Zerglings. Layer already on the way. This is an extremely fast flare out of Revival. So I thought he was going to maybe just go to straight up to Banelings and maybe try and get aggressive with Violet, but no. Actually just wanted to go to Banelings so that he could play defensively. Probably just going to be droning up a lot and going for a very quick layer. Don't see a Roach Warren or Evolution Chamber down, so I think he might actually be planning on going Mutas here. We'll have to wait and see what he's going to do. A couple of Zerglings now moving across the map for Empire's Violet. Violet does, of course, have the ability to drop some Banelings now if he wants to. None left back at home, so is open up a little bit to counterattack, but he has a bunch of Banelings over here morphing in. See right there, 6 additional Banelings, 4 already, and now he's going to try and get aggressive here from Violet. Violet's going to want to actually spread his Banelings out a little bit. Waste 4 on just 2 Banelings. That was a little bit of a mistake. Now here comes a couple of Banelings. Looks like they're going to go after his drones, or is he just going to try and bust through the queen? See him moving back and forth right now. It needs to be a little bit more decisive with these Banelings. Does break through both of the queens. Queens do go down, but there is nothing left here for Violet to actually pressure Revival with a bit of a break for Revival after losing both those queens. Nothing over here for Violet to actually continue to pressure with. Income-wise, guys, you can see right now Revival still does have a significant lead. 34 harvesters compared to 22 of Violet. And now does have his layer out, is restarting queen production to get both of his queens back out, and there is a ton of Zerglings headed across the map here for Violet. So it looks like we're going to get a big Baneling bust round 2 here for Violet. See immediately 4 Banelings already morphing in and now moving across the map. It's going to spread those out. It's going to need the Zerglings there though, because otherwise these spine crawlers should actually be able to deal with these pretty easily. And oh, a lot of Zerglings almost getting hit on the Baneling of Revival, and oh, he loses all the Zerglings to just a Baneling or 2. That was a huge loss for Violet, and now we do have the Spire on the way behind us for TSL's Revival, and Revival picking up where he left off in this tournament, was just rolling over nerds left and right earlier in the just weekly part of this tournament. A couple more gases now on the way back at home. Violet just now finally getting his lair started. Income-wise, still quite a bit behind, about 10 harvesters behind, which is really the important part of the early game in ZVZ. It's just all about trying to get a little bit of a harvester advantage, and Revival has done just that. So now we do see, guys, Spire will be coming out momentarily. I don't see Violet actually having any clue that this is coming. He hasn't actually scouted Revival's main for quite some time. Does he at least have an evolution chamber down? No, this could actually just end up ending the game if Revival realizes this and just goes straight across the map with his initial couple of Mutalisks. See him now taking the third base. Looks like he wants to transfer one of his spine crawlers down there. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get this transferred in time though, because there is a couple of Zerglings coming over here to try and deny the third. immediately. The Spinecrawler probably going to get picked off before it even does finish. Here comes a couple of Zerglings and Banelings to defend at least the hatchery, though. So he will manage to save the hatchery. Now 6 Mutas on the way for Revival. And Infestation pick went out, but still no Evolution Chamber anywhere in sight for Violet. And this could just end up being GG if TSL's Revival is aware that Violet does have no air defense. So just now, finally, the Evolution Chamber going down here for Violet. The Mutalisks are already out on the map, but it looks like he's going to immediately go after a couple of Overlords. Not going to stream across the map to the main of Violet just yet. So he's going to take what he can definitely get for sure right off the bat. Necessarily a bad plan. A lot of times this is a little bit problematic, but here comes a bunch of Banelings going to try and get into the drones, and oh, he actually miscontrolled a couple of his drones. But lucks out and only loses 1 or 2. Now moving over here in towards the main. There is a couple of Queens out here. The one with the transfuse energy does get taken down immediately, though. He's going to continue to just try and focus fire down all of these Queens. That will allow him to get a couple of drones as well. As you see, the Zerglings now coming in to help. And there's the GG by Violet, and it does indeed end up costing him the game. So game number 1 in the books, guys. And Violet getting surprised, I was about to say surprisingly enough, by Revival's Mutalisk play there. Apparently just didn't really think that Revival would have been going for that fast. The Mutalisk didn't have the Evolution Chamber, didn't have the Spore Crawlers down in time, and when those Mutalisks came out, Violet was just completely caught off guard, and no surprise that he GG'd out of the game. Was about to lose a ton of his drones and his economy, and there was just going to be no way he was going to be able to come back from that. So guys, we're going to be moving into game 2 in just a moment. And if you guys want to throw fits in the chat, I'll warn you right now, I'll just ban you from the chat. Because most people are here and enjoying themselves watching some good games. If all you want to do is complain, I'll just get rid of you. I really don't care. So, alright guys, I'm going to go to a quick little commercial break for our sponsors. As soon as I come back, we're going to be moving into game number 2 right now with Revival up 1-0. So stay tuned, guys. More of the heads up for the PokerStrategy.com tournament coming up in just a second, guys.
PokerStrategy.com. Learn to win.
Alright everyone, and welcome back to the PokerStrategy.com Heads Up Tournament for the week of, I believe this was our 4th week. This was, of course, a reschedule of Violet taking on Revival. $250 on the line. That means $150 to the winner, $100 to the loser. It is a best-of-7 show match. I, of course, am Nursky, your commentator for this event. Thank you very much, everybody who is tuning in today. You can feel free to ask questions or whatever in chat about the tournament if you do want. Just keep it civil. So, I don't know if there was any kind of lag or whatever going on in the last game, but there should not have been. I would just suggest if you get any lag, because the majority of people typically don't on Zig TV, to just go ahead and play through settings as much as you can. Internet is not perfect, so we do our best, but if you post stupid stuff in the chat, I'll have to ban you. So here we go, guys. We're going to be moving into game number 2 now. Right now we do have, of course, TSL's Revival, who is our challenger in this matchup. Violet is our final boss for this tournament for this week. Right now up 1-0, and if Revival were to win this would actually be 3 weeks in a row that the final boss was actually taken out by the challenger, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. We had Destiny week 1, he got taken out by trying to remember who he actually got taken out by, but he ended up losing his heads up. Then we had Damaga as our final boss week 2. Damaga lost, and now we have Violet as our boss. This was from week 3, and right now he's down 0-1 from Revival, so we're going to see if he can come back, guys. Going into our introductions, though, in just a second. So here we go, guys. Game number 2 coming up, Revival versus Violet. Introductions, just a second. Alright, guys, here we go. Game number 2 on the way. So first off, going to be spawning as our purple Zerg. We're going to have from Team EmpireViolet, who has been looking extremely good in a lot of tournaments lately. Violet has really come into his own. Been pretty, I don't know if I'd say surprised with a lot of his results, because of course he was always a pretty good player, but he's definitely been showing some strong finishes as of late. His opponent from Team the SCII Life was in Code A for a time. Hasn't really been quite as successful as Violet has been recently, but he's looking pretty good today. He's, of course, going to be Team the SCII Life's Revival. So we go game number 2 underway. We are going to be on Bolshevik Winter. Do now see a couple of the players sending their overlords across the map. Get an idea of what their opponent's going to be up to. Right now looking like we could potentially get a hatch first play out of both players actually this time. But just as I say that, we actually get a pool first over here out of Violet. I was going to be a little bit surprised if they did go hatch first on this map, and it looks like Revival's just going to do it. And the reason why I'm a little bit surprised if they actually go hatch first on this particular map is when you actually go speed first or fast banelings on this map, it's incredibly difficult to actually hold it. Most maps over here between your main and your natural, you have a small ramp which 2 queens can actually block quite nicely. On this map and on Tal'Darim as well, I believe that's all the maps that we have that are in our map pool. You have way more than 2 queens worth of space, so not going banelings can be extremely dangerous on a map like this. So we do see now queen on the way. Pool already finished up here for Violet. Did go pool into gas though. Wanted to apparently be safe from any kind of a early pool type of scenario. Will probably grab his metabolic boost shortly unless he's going to try and go for a quick baneling bust, but is just now at 50. Don't see him throwing the baneling nest down just yet, so I don't think that's the route he's going to be going. Pool still on the way here for Revival. Did take that expansion hatchery down here, so taking a little bit of the early on risk here. Do have now the expansion hatchery coming up from Violet. Looks like he is going to be just waiting for metabolic boost before he grabs any upgrades. First couple of Zerglings moving across the map. Going to check out what Revival is up to. We'll see that he has gone hatch first just by the time that the hatchery is finishing up. Might be a little bit surprised even. So he does see that hatchery now finished up. Going to be moving into the main here. First couple of Zerglings come out here for Revival. We'll have to defend over here near the drone line. Might need the workers to actually help him out. Could even lose a worker or two. But now he does have 2 more Zerglings coming in here. He should be able to reinforce, but actually not doing a really good job controlling there. Lost a couple of Zerglings there. 2 Violet Zerglings. Really good micro there out of Violet. Actually killing off quite a few of Revival Zerglings, forcing him to build a couple additional more. And immediately behind this, we're going to actually have a fast roach play out of Violet. Now, this is definitely a type of play that used to be a little bit more old hat, I guess would be the best way to put it, than the new style of ZVZ where almost everybody goes speed into Banes. Going roaches on a delay, or after your expansion hatchery comes up, used to kind of be the old school way, but it's still kind of popular on Tal'Darim and here on this map, just because of the fact that it is so hard to cover this gap in between your natural and your main. So going to fast roaches if you're going to try and be a little more econ heavy, not a bad idea for Empire's Violet. Do now have the spine crawler up. It looks like we are going to be seeing banelings out of TSL's Revival. Metabolic boost just about to finish up. So now Violet not going to have metabolic boost or baneling, so he's just going to be trying to survive on pure roaches. Now he definitely can do that. He's just got the micro really well. Did have an Overlord trying to get attacked over here from Violet. Now Revival will scout out that there is a couple of roaches out on the map. Looks like he's just going to run one Zergling by, make sure there's no additional tech down in the base. Looking for a Baneling nest, no doubt. We'll see that that is not going to be the case. And we'll just immediately try and focus fire down a drone or two. And actually, Violet, I don't think he's noticed this yet. And now finally notices. Did lose one drone, though, before he did manage to kill him off. A couple of Banelings on the way, some additional spine crawlers as well, just in case Violet decides to push across the map. Zergling's not the greatest against roaches. Of course, roaches in small numbers they can definitely deal with, but once you get up in roach numbers a little bit more difficult. So very smart move by Revival to throw down a couple of extra spine crawlers just so that he is going to be safe. Income-wise, guys, 34 harvesters to 26 right now, so Violet does have a pretty significant lead back behind these roaches. Fast +1 going to be coming out of Violet before he does go to lair. I do not believe he'll actually get a second evolution chamber and start the +1 carapace before he goes to lair. Probably will go to lair relatively shortly behind this. Unless he's going to try and go for some kind of a +1 all-in on hatch tech, but that would seem unlikely. Although now he is actually building 7 roaches, so he definitely could be just going for a +1 all-in off of hatchery tech. Typically aren't going to want to start building this many roaches unless you were going to actually go to, if you were going to go to lair. So it looks like he's just going to get +1 and he's going to go for a push. Now the question for Revival is, will he spot this coming? He has been scouting very diligently. You see him now throwing down 2 additional spine crawlers. Has started his lair. Looks like Revival is thinking about going the Mutilus tech route once again, which would work very well if the roach count was low enough for Violet, but he's actually got so many roaches already out on the map, as that +1 will be finishing up soon. Is he going to be adding on a Baneling nest for this attack? I do not believe so. This is definitely going to be very all-in, sitting right now at 33 harvesters, so he cut production right around 32 harvesters. He's going to get a +1 upgrade, and he should be hitting the base of Revival right as that +1 does finish up. It'll help him kill Zerglings a little bit faster with his roaches. Will help him against the spine crawlers, but there is quite a few spine crawlers down and more in production as Revival realizes that he absolutely has to get down as many spine crawlers as possible to be able to hold this attack. And now we do see the Spire is on the way in the main, so he just needs to try and buy some time. Now Violet won't die immediately to Mutus, but he is going to need to try not to waste too many of his roaches against this. Here comes the Banelings moving forward. They get some great coverage on all of those roaches, but the roaches with that +1 upgrade killing off the spine crawlers so fast, and now he's actually going to bypass a lot of the spine crawlers. This will force Revival to potentially pull his drones to deal with this, and this could be really a big problem for TSL's Revival if these roaches can actually just continue to run by. Here comes some more roaches and Zerglings trying to reinforce in. You see Revival actually trying to relocate a couple of spine crawlers to block the roaches back over towards the natural expansion, and actually doing a pretty good job of cleaning up the majority of these roaches. Probably is going to want to try and save a couple of these drones if he can, as more forces stream by, trying to just do the run by. He now does relocate his drones for the moment, since he does have a couple more spine crawlers up in the main. Here comes his Zerglings, and he is going to hold this initial push, but he did lose quite a bit of economy in the process. Spire is just now about to finish, though, for TSL's Revival, and the question is going to be, what has Violet been doing back behind this? And thus far, he's actually just been streaming in forces non-stop, really trying to just push Revival. You see a couple of drones even being made. 44 harvesters for Revival compared to 32 of Violet right now. Revival still managing to maintain his harvester count lead, but here comes Violet once again with moving in with another round of roaches. 2 Mutilus finally on the way for Revival. Of course, 2 Mutilus not going to be able to take out these roaches on their own. He's going to need a little bit of help in finishing off these roaches. Does pull back his drones, so doesn't want to lose them if at all possible. Now Violet has made it over here into the main. A couple of more roaches over here. Actually hasn't multitasted those very well. Needs to get those back and doing something. Trying to relocate his spine crawlers. First Mutilus now are out on the map. 6 more on the way. And Violet actually not even doing anything with these. I think Violet might be a little bit busy back at home, as we do see him going to lair tech now. I don't think he realized that he even has these forces. I think he's just been focusing on these roaches over here, trying to do as much damage as he can, but actually not getting a whole lot done. And now, Violet, what are you doing? I'm very curious as to what Violet's doing, because he's actually just letting his forces sit around now. Not really doing anything in particular with them. Now finally grabs them and is going to move forward. I'm not really sure what that was about, that Violet was actually just allowing these forces to be harassed for quite some time. really just doing nothing, just kind of sitting out on the map. Back over at home, Violet does have a couple of spore crawlers just now getting started. Does have just one finished up so that he can defend his main and his natural expansion. He's going to have a very hard time getting a third up, though. Now Mutalisk moving across the map after cleaning up all of Violet's forces. Income-wise, guys, this is the situation after that all-in attempt by Violet. 59 Harvester, so he has been able to econ up behind it. He got enough damage done that he did get himself a decent-sized lead, but now the real issue for him is just going to be trying to get a third base up, probably. Violet picking off a couple of Overlords, not trying to get too greedy and take on anything that does have the support of those Spore Crawlers. Doesn't really have that many Mutalisks out on the map. Back behind us, he is making a tech transition. As we see those mutas now flying off into the back of his base. He has thrown down his Infestation Pit, also throwing down an Evolution Chamber. Extra hatchery going down behind this as well. So it looks like he's going to be going just Ling Infester behind this, I believe. But we do have now, guys, over here, where is it being placed on? Over here in the natural. Now, I don't know if Revival has seen this yet, but there's a Nidus network going down. Not 100% sure how he's going to actually get the spotting for it, or where he's going to be going with this Nidus. Has he seen it? No, he has not seen this Nidus network. Has Revival. So Nidus network will finish up. He does have a single Overseer over here on the edge, and he does drop down a Changeling. He's going to try and just bypass all the Spine Crawlers and move into the main. See how much damage this is going to do as Violet just tries to do an all-in counter-attack play here. Not aware where this is at, and now here he comes, Queens and all, everything going to be just immediately coming over here into the main of Revival. Revival immediately relocating some of his Spine Crawlers to his mineral line over here. You see him lifting up quite a few of them and moving them over. Here comes a bunch of Roaches and Queens over here into the natural expansion. We'll probably lose a couple of these Spines before they do manage to root in. He's going to need to pull his Mutalisk over here to try and help defend this. Here comes the Mutas from the back, but Transfusion's going down on the Queens, and Violet, with the Nidus counter, may indeed just end up winning the game here. And there's the GG by Revival, and Violet will take game number 2 to now take this series to a tie 1-1 between EmpireViolet and TSLRevival. Somebody was asking me in chat, is this just the best of 7 tonight? And yes, it is. This is just the best of 7. This is the rescheduled show match for anybody just tuning in. Well, heads up match, not technically a show match, between Violet and Revival. $250 on the line. $150 for the winner. $100 for the loser, guys. So Violet taking on Revival, two extremely good Zerg players, and right now they're tied up 1-1. In case anybody makes note of the replay complete, it is in fact being casted from replays. We had the players play the games when they were available. There were some huge scheduling issues between Revival and Violet. That's why the initial heads up got rescheduled in the first place. So they ended up playing kind of at an odd hour. So rather than try and broadcast it live to like the 3 people who would have been awake at that time, we decided to just go ahead and save the replays and rebroadcast it at a more normal time for us. So there is going to be heads up tomorrow as well, guys, just as a, I guess, a heads up for you guys. I believe the final boss for this week is going to be Kas for the heads up that's going to be going on tomorrow. And there will be a final table tomorrow as well, where all of our daily tournament winners will face off against one another for $50 for second place in that portion of the tournament. And then the winner moves on to this heads up match tomorrow, where I believe we will be having Kas as the final boss. So guys, I'm going to do a quick commercial break. As soon as I come back, we're going to be moving into game number 3 of this best of 7, as right now Violet has retied up the series 1-1 with TSLRevival. So stay tuned, guys. I'll be right back in one moment with more of the PokerStrategy.com heads up $250 between Violet and Revival. Be right back.
PokerStrategy.com. Learn to win.
Alright guys, hello and welcome back to the PokerStrategy.com Heads Up $250 match between Violet and Revival. It is of course a best of 7. Right now we are tied up 1-1 between Revival and Violet. Question is, who's going to win this match? I really don't know. My pick going into this match was, I believe, Revival when we were broadcasting this, or attempting to broadcast this match live before the scheduling issues became a problem. With Violet having some NASL obligations at that same time, and then Revival being a little bit confused about one thing or two. But I believe my pick was Revival. In the course of the initial tournament, Revival just looks so good. I was pretty sure that Revival is going to be able to take it, but we'll find out, guys, because we are about to move into game number 3. So here we go, guys. Introductions coming up in just a moment. As game number 3 coming up, this is a best of 7. Both players tied up 1-1. Introductions coming up in just one moment. Alright guys, so here we go into the game. We're going to be moving to Antigua Shipyard. This will have the neutral supply depot, not that it really matters for this matchup, but that also means that it will have the normal just blue minerals in the center of the map. But into our intros, as our first player will be spawning as our purple Zerg. Got down early 0-1 in game number 1, but now has tied the series back up at 1-1. Gonna be looking to get ahead in this game number 3 if he can. He is from Team Empire, and he is Violet. His opponent switching up his colors. Gonna be spawning as our Aqua Zerg player from Team the SCII Life. Right now tied up 1-1. With nothing but $150 on his mind. He is Revival. So here we go, guys. Game number 3 on the way. And I gotta be honest, that's a little bit of an interesting scouting direction with the Overlords here. So it looks like he's gonna just send both of them kind of immediately towards the natural, but not exactly towards the natural here of Violet. Do you see that Violet has put down his pool before gas this game, and actually this is going to be a 10 pool. So a bit of shenanigans on the way here for Violet. And back behind us we do see now that Revival has put down a more standard pool, so it's about a 14 pool. And he is getting gas as well, so I'm going to be really interested to see exactly what Violet's plan is going to be here. Now, had Revival gone hatch first, this would have been really bad for Revival. Since he hasn't gone hatch first, he should be in an okay location, or okay position. See Violet going to be abusing the fact that this is forced cross spawn, so Violet will know exactly where his opponent is going to be at. Immediately going to be sending Zerglings across the map. Revival will spot that, so he will know that he does need to get out a couple of Zerglings to deal with this. So Revival should be able to deal with this pretty well. The question is, what is he going to be able to deal with the follow-up behind this? But we do see Metabolic Boost on the way, and that's going to be it. So that's all he really wanted from that. So this might just be a big Speedling all-in attempt by Violet. Do have the Queen a little ways away yet, so he is going to have to be a little bit careful initially. Might have to use some of his drones to defend here. 6 Zerglings, not going to probably be able to take on the 6 Zerglings of Violet, and that trade actually ends up going pretty well for Revival. And Revival is going to be in a pretty good spot here. Does have 5 more Zerglings over here now, does Violet. See Revival immediately starting to move his Queen down the ramp so that he can try and take out these Zerglings before they can actually destroy that expansion hatchery. Now going to back up. And back over here in the main of Violet, he's been building nothing but non-stop Zerglings, so it looks like he is just going to all in once speed does finish up here. Whether or not he's going to be able to actually pull off is going to really just depend on what Revival does here. As Revival is just not getting his Metabolic Boost. Does leave 1 Harvester in gas so that he can eventually go up to Banelings. Now sending a couple of Zerglings across the map. Probably wants to scout and see exactly what Violet's next move is going to be. He does have an Overlord spotting over here, and we'll see that there is no natural taken, so he should be aware of the fact that there's probably going to be an all-in attempt on the way by Violet, and Violet's just going to be streaming across the map now. As his speed does finish up, going to try and use that speed to his advantage. He does have 2 Queens, does Revival over here to block. A little bit out of place, so they will have a little bit more surface area than they would have otherwise. You see him trying to focus fire one of the Queens down, and will just now get that Queen down. Has lost a lot of Zerglings, though. And he's going to try and get the second queen down now behind this, down to just a handful of Zerglings, but he will be reinforcing with nothing but Zerglings straight across the map. Takes out both the queens. Now here comes the next round of Zerglings. You see Revival trying to do his best to micro this, but Violet, with that addition of speed, is just absolutely decimating the forces of Revival, and I think that's going to end up being GG here, as now the drones are going to be forced to take on speed Zerglings, and that never works out very well for the drones. See Violet doing his best to try not to just needlessly lose these Zerglings and actually still take out these drones. Might actually be doing himself a little bit of a disservice. Any of you have ever heard of the term actually over-microing your units? Violet might actually be doing that just a little bit, because I think he could have just actually straight up engaged all those drones and probably killed them. Now engaging the Zerglings of Revival, and it looks like Revival, as a result of the fact that Violet really didn't try and just kill off his drones, might end up actually holding here. It's going to be extremely close. You see now Violet moving over here, does manage to pick off the rest of Revival's Zerglings. Zergling kind of a little bit lower, now going to engage the drones a little bit, but still hasn't taken out a lot of the drones. And income-wise, guys, we do still have 15 Harvesters for Revival and 10 for Violet. As far as workers killed go, just 3 for Violet, and that is not going to be enough to end this game. See, now it does manage to make another push over here. But I think Revival's actually, at this point, going to end up holding this. It's going to be very difficult, I think, for Violet to actually manage to take this, as he's really just streaming a handful of Zerglings, a couple at a time across the map, and it's making it very easy for Revival to pick them off. Does not have a couple additional more Zerglings on the way, but really at this point Revival doesn't have too much of a problem retaining his Zergling count. Violet's going to have to pull back for a little bit and get a superior Zergling count before he actually pushes back in, or otherwise he's just going to keep feeding Revival Zerglings. And Violet is going to end up losing this again, and Violet, I think at this point it's going to end up being GG, because now the Queen's about to pop back out for Revival. He has more Harvesters. He's going to have better economy. He's going to be able to produce Zerglings more quickly. Did lose one Harvester, but that was actually just thrown on a Spine Crawler at his natural. A couple more Zerglings now moving through. Queen now back out on the map for Revival, and Revival is looking like he's going to hold. And I think Violet had a chance there when he did have it was just down to his Lings and the drones of Revival, and chose not to actually attack into that and take most of the drones out. And now Revival's just going to clean up and probably counter push here, and Violet's going to have a tough time holding this. And there's the GG out of Violet, and Revival is indeed going to win game number 3 and go back up 2-1 on Empire's Violet. So a little bit of a weird game there. I really thought Violet had actually won the game at 1 point, and what I'm actually going to do, since I can do it, I'm going to back up in the replay and explain what I was talking about. I'm actually going to find out exactly where that was at in the replay. A little bit loud. That Violet actually took out all of the Zerglings of Revival, and I really thought that Violet was just about to win the game. He had a ton of Zerglings on the map. I don't know what exact count is. Looked like about 15 or so Zerglings. And now I've actually found the spot where it's at. But rather than actually just engage the drones and maybe pull some of his Zerglings around to try and trap and surround them, he instead opted to actually just go for like a little bit of a poke. Didn't really kill any drones at all, even though he had a lot of Zerglings. I'm actually going to show you guys now what that part of the game is. I'm going to move back into the game screen now. This is exactly the part of the game I was talking about, where Violet actually has quite a few Zerglings over here towards the main. He's basically one-on-one with the drones of Revival. He's just got 2 Lings over here to try and defend this. And rather than actually just take on these drones and try and kill some of them off, maybe wrap some of his Zerglings around to the backside, he kind of poked in once or twice and then just immediately was running away, just kind of trying to fiddle and poke at the drones. And during that whole time, only killed 1 worker, and really gave Revival a lot more time to replenish his Zergling count and get himself into a better location. Then had a bad engagement where he actually decided just to take on the Zerglings of Revival on the ramp. So rather than actually taking on the drones over here in the choke, he decided to take the Zerglings on in the ramp. And that really is what cost Violet the game, I feel like, at that point. But we're going to be moving on to our next game momentarily, guys. So we're going to be moving into game number 4. Now Revival is up 2-1, which means he is now 2 wins away from continuing on what's become a tradition, almost, so to speak, of our challenger actually beating the heads-up boss for the tournament and winning the $250. Now, of course, if he doesn't manage to pull it off, he will still get $100, so pretty good prize payout for the heads-up tournament for both of our players. But right now, we do have the advantage back to Revival. It looks like we're going to be moving to the map Tal'Darim Altar LE, so it will be the latter edition of the map, and it will be Tal'Darim, so this will be a little bit similar to when we played on Belshire Beach Winter. But we are going to go to a quick commercial break before we go to this game, guys, so stay tuned as more PokerStrategy.com heads up between Violet and Revival. $250 on the line coming to you guys in just a moment.
PokerStrategy.com. Learn to win.
Alright guys, welcome back to the Heads Up match for the PokerStrategy.com week number 3. This was of course a reschedule between EmpireViolet and TSLRevival. Right now we have Revival up 2-1 over Violet. So Revival looking to be in a position potentially to win this matchup. So we're going to just have to wait and see what happens here, guys, as we're going to be moving into game number 4 right now with Violet down 1-2. Will Violet be able to rebound and come back, or will Revival be able to continue on this lead and maybe go to a 3-1 advantage to put him at that game point for this best of 7 series? We're about to find out, guys. Introductions come up in a minute as we move to Tal'Darim Altar LE. Alright guys, into the game we go. First off, going to be spawning as our pink Zerg. Took the early 1-0 advantage. Series got tied back up in game 2, but now he is back in the driver's seat. He is TSL's Revival. And his opponent going to be spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, Tal'Darim Altar LE. Spawning as our purple Zerg, representing Team Empire, and is our final boss for the week. Will he suffer the fate that many final bosses had before him, that curse, so to speak, or will he overcome it and win this series? We're about to find out. He is Violet. So here we go, guys. Game number 4 underway. Violet in that last game, I think, had an opportunity. We went back and we watched the replay, looked at the replay. Kind of a snap decision at the time for him to decide not to engage the drones and instead just try and pull back and go after the expansion hatchery. May not have been the right decision. Kind of gave Revival some time to regroup. Violet really only got 1 drone kill out of that entire push. That was a little bit problematic for him. Do not have the gas and the pool on the way over here for Revival back in his base. Violet has taken his gas, but no pool down just yet. So a little bit of an earlier pool gas timing here for TSL's Revival. But not going to be a whole lot sooner than the pool of Violet, so it shouldn't really be a big deal in the matchup. Now, he will end up not even getting Metabolic Boost faster, so it's going to basically put them in the same exact spot. The only difference really that Violet will have a little bit better mineral income than will Revival. So if anything, Revival's kind of just hurt himself with this opener. He's going to get his pool up a tiny bit faster, but he's not really going to be able to start his Metabolic Boost any sooner, as far as I can tell. So it's not going to really end up benefiting him that much. He might get his Metabolic Boost started just fractionally faster than will Violet. So I'll have like a whole 5 seconds of advantage for a little bit of a loss of economy. Do see now the Queens on the way for both players. Both players are 1 basing, as is pretty much the standard normally on maps like this. Now, of course, Tal'Darim Altar LE, very much like Belshire Beach Winter in the fact that you do have that natural that's got that really wide open connection into your main. So very standard play coming out of both these guys. Kind of surprised you didn't see this on Belshire Beach Winter out of both of these players, but you are going to indeed be seeing it here on Tal'Darim Altar, as we do see the Baneling Nest going down for both players. Baneling Nest finishing up a little bit sooner here, or will be finishing up a little bit sooner here for Revival. We'll have his metabolic boost fractionally quicker, and now Violet actually almost losing a single Ling to 3 Lings out in the middle of the map. But does manage to pull it back just in time, so he will be able to retreat that back to a couple of his other Zerglings. And, oh, actually will trap a bunch of the Zerglings momentarily there of Revival. Does find a hole to squeak out of, though. Now he's going to be forced to retreat. He's going to have his metabolic boost finish up just slightly sooner. So he may be able to use that to his advantage and engage these Zerglings and take them out before they can actually retreat. And that's exactly what he's going to try and do. But now there's the metabolic boost finishing up for Empire's Violet. And Violet's just going to immediately retreat here. A couple of more Zerglings coming out. Now he's going to turn around and push Revival back. Revival does have a couple of Banelings now on the way back at home. Probably just to defend from a run-by over here in his main. As now overwhelming Zergling numbers moving forward on the map. Neither player has taken a natural expansion, so these are going to be very similar Zergling counts. There's the unit counting tab, so you guys can see exactly what those Zergling counts are, because it can get very difficult to tell the difference between. Right now, Violet is up 21 Zerglings to 13, and that's really what the important count is going to be, aside from Harvesters at this point in the game, as both players on 14 Harvesters building nothing but Zerglings and Banelings. Here comes 2 Banelings. He's not going to want to actually use those on the eggs, and oh, does manage to get a couple of them, though. So it looks like he did get just enough hits with his Zerglings to actually do a pretty good amount of damage. It was a pretty decent loss for Violet, but he didn't lose the majority of his Zerglings. Looks like he lost about 4 Zerglings there, but that is going to swing it back into the lead of Revival. So Revival looking to be in a good position, but now here comes 2 Banelings moving into the main. One gets taken out, second one now moving forward. Can he get a good splash on a couple of Zerglings and bring the Zergling count back into his favor? Does manage to pick off 2 Banelings. And now back at home, we do see a couple of other Zerglings running around the map. Right now, we do see that Violet has gotten a little bit back in the lead, but Revival building a couple of drones, so trying to build up his economy and play a little bit more defensively now is going to be TSL's Revival. No additional tech coming down just yet, but this is going to give Violet the aggressive advantage for a little while here. And now is going to try and push forward. Here comes a bunch of Banelings morphed in as well. Needs to be a little bit careful there. Oh, and the Banelings actually get wasted there by Revival, and that might be a big enough loss that he could end up losing this game. Is he going to be able to get some Banes out in time to deal with this Baneling push by Violet? Violet now moving forward. Here comes all the Banelings. Will he be able to get the drones away? Does manage to spread them out halfway decently. You see right now Violet actually not trying to use up his Banelings if at all possible, trying to get the drones of Revival to clump up a little bit before he does push in. Have a Queen in production once again from Violet. Here comes a couple of Banelings shots getting off some really good drone hits. 9 workers now killed for Violet. We see Revival actually retreating. He's got a couple of spine crawlers up, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold this. Queen is on the way, but here comes a secondary push here by Violet, moving out across the map. Actually forgot about a handful of Zerglings over here. See him now morphing in a couple of more Banelings. Looks like he is going to try and go for another push, but right now does have the advantage. Took out 9 workers income-wise. Evened up, though, 12 to 12 Harvesters. So we do look over here back in the main of Violet. He has pulled off a gas, so it looks like he's just trying to econ up behind us. Going to try and push one more time. Does manage to take out the Baneling of Revival. A little bit of sloppy control there, I think, by Revival. Does manage to bypass a couple of them spine crawlers. Not going to try and poke at the Queen. Not going to be able to get it. Going to turn around. Goes after the workers again. Manages to get 2 additional workers. Now see him just trying to focus fire down a couple of the workers with these Zerglings. Going to be forced to retreat off the front, though, of the base for the moment. 17 Harvesters now for Violet. And 9 for Revival. This question is, where did he lose a couple of Harvesters? And no, he actually hasn't lost any, so I'm losing my mind. But we are going to now have a 1 base fall up here. Looks like we're going to get a Roach Baneling all in, probably, out of Empire's Violet, as he does now begin his Roach War. And the question is, what's going to be the follow-up for Revival? Income-wise right now, guys, 20 Harvesters for Violet, 14 for Revival, as Revival licks his wounds from losing several Harvesters to those Banelings. Lost 13 workers in total, only killed 3 workers with a little bit of a tiny run-by with a couple of Zerglings for Violet. So Revival now tries to get a little bit aggressive, tries to push across the map here. Zerglings do poke forward. They do just see a couple of Banelings and those spine crawlers. Now going to be going to try and move around, I think, and just get a look at what the tech is for Revival. Very good job there by Violet. Gets a look at everything that's going on. Did he actually even get a drone as well? I don't think he did. No, still just at 13 worker kills right now. Revival does have some pretty good spotting. You can see that Violet has not taken a natural expansion just yet, or at least hasn't had one complete. I don't know if this actually sees over to the edge where the base will be put down, but there is going to be roaches on the way shortly. We do see Revival trying to move out with a couple of Zerglings. Probably wants to scout to see what the follow-up is going to be from Violet. 6 roaches now on the way. Already a couple of more roaches all out on the map. Here comes those couple of Zerglings. They will see the roaches. So this should tip Revival off, and he should know now what Violet's probably going to be up to. A couple of Banelings now trying to morph in over here at the bottom of Revival's base. He's going to use a couple of Zerglings to see if he can focus fire down a couple of those Banelings before they do finish up. He's going to need to try and split a little bit and take them out. Loses 2 Banelings trying to take out just 1. Actually ends up going after the Queen, so a little bit of a miscontrol there by Violet. But now here comes the secondary pushes. Here comes a bunch of roaches moving across the map. It's going to be reinforcing with Zerglings behind us. Probably will morph in some Banelings as well, and he has taken a double gas, so he's definitely going to be coming with a big Roach Baneling all-in push here. Question is Revival going to be able to hold this, or will Violet be able to take the win? Does intercept a bunch of the Zerglings. Really good job there by Revival on that control. Is going to need to back up now, but 2 Spine Crawlers definitely not going to be enough to hold this amount of roaches without quite a few more Zerglings. But back behind his Revival has gotten his own Roach Warren. 6 roaches on the way, trying to buy himself a little bit of time. Baneling's just now coming forward here for Empire's Violet. No more roaches being brought forward, just nothing but non-stop stream of Zerglings. 5 roaches now out on the map, 2 more on the way, trying to relocate one of his Spine Crawlers. Here comes the Banelings, a lot of them actually getting trapped behind his roaches. Now we're going to have the Roach versus Roach battle. Here comes a couple of Zerglings that will give the slight advantage to Revival for just a second, but now here comes the Banes. Going to splash onto the Roaches of Revival. Takes out the majority of the Roaches, but now here comes a couple of Banelings for Revival, and Violet is going to end up winning the initial Roach battle, but there is about to be another set of Roaches popping out over here at the main, so I don't think that Violet's going to get a lot more damage done, but does take out the Queen. And now we see Violet backing up. Is he going to continue to try and push all in with this? Or will he just back up and try and econ out of this? And he is indeed going to try and take his natural expansion now. So he does take his natural expansion. Revival is going to hold. Decent micro there out of Revival. Now has a couple of roaches out on the map, producing nothing but drones. Whereas Violet has taken his natural expansion, but he already had produced quite a few drones in the earlier stages of the game. It's been sitting on that 21 harvesters. 25 now for Revival, so he does take a harvester lead, but he's going to have a little bit of difficulty in holding this push. He's probably going to have to give up this natural expansion. Doesn't actually even get the cancel off. Bit of a mistake there by Revival. Now I see a single roach going to be picked off over here near the 3rd base. So Revival falling apart a little bit in this game. And now we do have a couple of roaches being left behind, while meanwhile these Zerglings try and do a lot of counter-attacking action. It's going to send 2 down over here towards this bottom expansion. Now moving forward, he's going to try and pick off a couple of drones if he can. Runs forward, decides that he's going to think better of it, doesn't want to lose all these Zerglings. Going to try and deny the expansion once again, and will deny it, although this time Revival does manage to cancel it. There's 2 Banelings down here over inside of the main expansion. Banelings are over there, so they should be ready for this. I don't know if Violet's going to be able to actually get a lot of damage done with those. Most of the roaches and Zerglings actually over here towards the natural expansion, though. I think he may have forgot that he actually built those there. Now moves those over, and they are going to move forward. So will he be able to get some damage done? Will Revival see it? Oh, this is going to be kind of hairy as he moves forward. And no, he doesn't see it and loses a giant chunk of drones once again. 24 workers killed in total now for Empire's Violet, and that was a pretty significant loss, as that will give the economy advantage now back to Violet. 25 to 19 harvesters, and Violet does have his natural expansion already complete. Has not gone to layer tech just yet, has been building quite a few roaches behind this. +1 missile attacks on the way, so we could just see a +1 missile attacks roach all-in attempt behind this. And that is exactly what we're going to see, as we now see him moving across the map. That +1 nearly finished up. Morphing 8 Banelings over here near the natural of Revival, so he's just going to go for a big Roach Baneling counter push here. Now he did kill off a lot of the Harvesters of Revival. Revival starting to begin Roach production once again. Did rebuild up some of his economy. Neither player really in a terrible spot, but right now, unit counting wise, we can see right now 18 compared to just 10 Roaches, and 9 compared to 4 Banelings. Here comes the big push once again by Violet. Gets off some really good shots on a lot of those Roaches. Kills quite a few of them. Violet's going to want to back up and micro against these Banelings if he can. Takes a few shots. Revival's going to hold on for now, but if Violet can take out this natural expansion once again, it's probably going to be GG for Revival. Revival trying to hold on, but that +1 already finished up. No +1 yet for Revival. Revival going to be forced to GG out, and Violet is going to tie this series up once again and pull these two even 2-2. So guys, that means that we are for sure going to at least get 6 games out of this best of 7 series. Couldn't be more excited. 2 extremely good Zerg players going head to head there. Violet really did well early on with his aggression. That Roach follow-up did a little bit, didn't really do great, didn't do bad. Kind of ended up being an even wash. What was really big is in the early game, Violet got off some very good hits. Killed a lot of the economy of Revival off. Revival switched into Roaches, was able to hold the Roach Baneling push by Violet quite successfully, but then the problem for Revival really was he tried to econ up really heavily back behind that. Violet was still building quite a few forces even though he took his expansion, and because of that Harvester lead that Violet had secured in the very early game, was able to deny Revival's natural expansion twice. Revival finally got it down, but then the big Roach Baneling follow-up with the +1 attacks was just too much for Revival to hold. So we're going to be moving into the next game in just a moment, guys. I'm going to get that all set up and ready to go. But in the meantime, while I get that set up, I'm going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, guys, right now this series is tied up 2-2 between Revival and Violet. Who's going to come out on top? Really hard to tell. Revival has had the advantage most of the time, but Violet keeps tying it back up. Can Violet maybe gain the advantage in Game 5? We'll find out, guys, in just a second, as more of the PokerStrategy.com heads up $250 match between Violet and Revival come to you guys in just a minute.
PokerStrategy.com. Learn to win.
Alright guys, welcome back to the PokerStrategy.com $250 heads up best of 7 match between TSL's Revival and Empire's Violet. We're going to be moving in to game number 5. I had to think about it for just a second. I, of course, am your commentator, Nursky. You can follow me on Twitter at GoForNursky if you enjoy my commentating. I always update my Twitter at least right before I'm going to cast something and or actually do my shows and stuff that I have that I do on different various days. So guys, we're going to be moving into game number 2. Right now, of course, we do have the series tied up once again 2-2 as we move into game number 5. We're moving to the map Cloud Kingdom. This will, of course, be Revival's choice of map, as he is still a bit in the driver's seat as far as that is concerned. Winning that first game kind of big, because that means that anytime you lose a game, you get to pick the next map from our available map pool. So, Revival versus Violet, game number 5, guys. Going to go into our introductions. Here we go. Game number 5. Alright guys, into the game screen we go. Right now our series tied up 2-2. Who's going to come out on top? Man, I would have told you when they were originally supposed to play this game that I probably would have picked Revival. But right now, it's really anybody's guess, as this series has been so close in a lot of these games. So here we go, guys. Spawning as our purple Zerg from Team Empire, we're going to have Violet. And then his opponent going to be spawning as our pink Zerg player representing team the SCV Life. It is Revival. So we go, game number 5 underway. Cloud Kingdom is the map. One of the maps that, while it is a darker map, I actually quite like the aesthetics on this map. Of course, my buddy Super Uman is the creator of Cloud Kingdom, so I might be a little bit partial about this map, since a guy that I do a show with and hang out with and talk to with on a somewhat regular basis did create the map. Right now, no early pools going down, but now we do have a 14 pool by both players. So identical builds thus far. I'm imagining we'll see the 14 gas out of both players probably behind this, but might not. Have been seeing some players start to do 14 hatches into expansions into gas. You end up with like a 17-ish gas, something like that. Some players have been doing that, but haven't seen it become really commonplace just yet. Gas now taken Fort Violet, and we are actually going to see Revival go ahead and take that 16 hatchery, and then we'll likely take the 15 gas behind it, and yes, he does. So Revival's going to use that exact style that I was just talking about, where you do end up going 14 pool, and then a lot of times the player will go 15 hatch or 16 hatch, and then depending on how you want to do it, sometimes they'll immediately put down the gas. Some will drone back up to 17 or 18 before they take the gas. A little bit of a less risky versus 7 or 10 or 6 pool type of way to get up that natural expansion. Do have just 2 harvesters in gas right now for Violet, so this could be a quick baneling, a bust. No, it's going to actually be roaches. This is very interesting. So it looks like we're going to get a very fast roach push out of Empire's Violet. I can't imagine he was just going to get out some roaches and then take his expansion, because that economically would be absolutely terrible. Roaches hold really well if Revival were to try and get aggressive against a handful of roaches, but it's not the best way to economically get down your second expansion hatchery. Now, of course, the first couple of Zerglings are going to be moving for Violet forward. We'll spot the Queen. A couple of Zerglings there, though, for Revival. Will force these Zerglings back off. Revival, though, going to move forward. Tries to poke at a couple of those Zerglings. Doesn't quite get them all. Spinecrawler going to go down. And now back behind this, 6 roaches on the way. So Violet is indeed going to just commit to a one-base roach rush of sorts. It's kind of like the old homage to the 7 roach rush, only he's only gotten 6 out. So this is 1 off, but he's going to take an expansion behind this, so that'll explain that. I'm going to be really interested to see if he's going to get aggressive with these. I'd assume he's going to just push straight across the map with these immediately. I have no idea why else he'd be going for this type of a push. Now, the only downside of this is, of course, Revival does have Metabolic Boost on the way. Violet will not have Metabolic Boost anytime soon. So if this push does not work out so well for Violet, he's going to be forced into building a lot more roaches in a hurry to try and defend his natural expansion, which are pretty expensive to build. Do see now 12 more Zerglings on the way. 2 Spinecrawlers are already down. A lot of Zerglings out. I'm actually not thinking this push is going to work out so great for Violet, but we'll wait and see how he controls this. If he can bypass the Spinecrawlers, he might be in a little bit better position, but I just don't think he's going to be able to do it. And I think he's just going to end up being in a pretty terrible spot economically. But 20 Harvesters already out, and is taking his natural. All of those Zerglings will trap the roaches. They will instantly die. And I can't imagine Revival do anything but just turn around and counter and try and deny the natural of Violet behind this. Should immediately just turn and stream across the map, realizing exactly what Violet has done, and now that's exactly what he's going to do. And really, Violet's going to have a tough time holding this. He's going to have to commit to a lot of roach production now to be able to hold this. You see Revival immediately taking a drone lead behind this as he does move forward with his Zerglings, and actually gets by and will trap all the roaches and the Queen. There's going to be some pretty sizable losses here for Violet. Loses 1 Queen. Will he lose a 2nd Queen? No. But a couple of Zerglings will go into the main. Probably going to pick off a drone or 2 before they do get taken out. Roaches now trying to defend against this. Last couple of Zerglings just going to move around here. Looks like he was trying to find a place he could maybe drop. No, it doesn't even have a Bane nest, so never mind that. Just was scouting around. And now you see the roach count very high for Violet. Looks like he's going to try and push out once again. Not sure if this is going to be the best idea or not. Additional Spine Crawler now going down for Revival. It's going to need to build some Zerglings, or this could potentially do some damage. Should have noticed these roaches moving across the map, as he does have vision all the way to the base of Violet. A lot of drones have been in production, but now 16 Zerglings on the way, and it looks like Violet's just going to try and force out some Zerglings and then turn around. Was leaving himself quite a bit exposed. Income-wise, guys, 26 Harvesters for Violet, 36 for Revival, so this has worked out pretty well for Revival. +1 attacks for ranged units now on the way for Empire's Violet. Does have 3 Harvesters now in that gas. Is going to retreat with his roaches. I think that's a very smart move there by Violet. Really can't afford to lose another pack of roaches and then have to deal with the counterattack of Revival once again. Back over here in the base of Revival. No committing to anything just yet. It's just now starting his lair. Has a roach warren down, but hasn't begun producing any roaches, so definitely still could go Muta potentially. May have just thrown that roach warren down just in case he actually was going to end up needing the roaches to deal with Violet's initial roach pushes. +1 is on the way. Lair now on the way as well for Violet. I'm assuming Violet's just going to go your standard roach infester type of composition, just based on the fact that he is grabbing yet another evolution chamber and does already have +1 started up. A couple of Zerglings still sharking around the map for TSL's Revival. Has not taken a third base just yet. Has been kind of focusing on getting his economy up a little bit while still mining off of 4 gas, though, so I'm expecting the Spire play, especially considering he's adding on Spine Crawlers now as soon as this lair does finish up. Macro hatchery going down, and this should be the Spire. No infestation pit. Ooh. This is an interesting choice here by Revival. So he's going to actually go into roaches. He's just not going to build any, and it's going to build some additional Spine Crawlers. So, I mean, if Violet poked in right now, it would look like Mutas, but it's definitely not going to be Mutas. So now we have the +2, +1 on the way for Violet. We do have the Scout moving forward here by Revival. We'll see that he does have the double evolution chamber now. We'll see that there is no infestation pit down as far as he can tell just yet. Going to poke over here and see the third base timing. We'll see that Empire's Violet has taken a third. And he should be taking a third himself pretty soon here. It's going to move out with his Spine Crawlers and relocate them. Kind of surprised he didn't relocate some of them over here towards this third base. So it's going to relocate them over towards the natural. Probably will relocate his army to the third base then. So roach speed on the way. Pathogen glands on the way for Revival. No infestation pit even down just yet for Violet. Right now just building up a decent chunk of roaches. Now I'm going to start moving across the map here. Would expect Violet to begin some production and defend his third, but actually throws on a bunch of Spine Crawlers over here at his natural. So a little bit confused as to exactly what Revival's plan is going to be here. 4 infestors now on the way, along with 8, 9 roaches. But he is going to be forced to give up this third base. See the roaches forcing to cancel there. 4 Spine Crawlers on the way. Probably going to get intercepted by the roaches, though, if Violet just decides to push. Infestors are now out on the map. He's going to want to cancel these, because otherwise he's just going to be feeding these to Violet for free. Fungal growth goes down. Will trap a couple of the roaches. And now Violet actually pushing into this. This might not be the best idea for Violet to push into. Gonna end up losing a couple of roaches, and now will retreat. Revival will hold that off, but a little bit of an interesting decision making there by Revival. Didn't really defend his third. Threw down some extra Spine Crawlers. And was forced to give it up. And really, Violet could just start to econ up and try and get to Infestor attack behind us, but it looks like Violet's going to try and get aggressive once again. Really wants to stay on top of that third base timing of Revival's. Revival not even trying to retake that third just yet, just building roaches. Doesn't have fungal growth available to him just yet, but does have some more infestors in production. Has a decent amount of roaches as well. 2-1 for Violet, 1-1 for Revival, so slight advantage in the upgrades for Violet, but I'm not sure it's going to matter with the additional help of these Spine Crawlers and then these infestors once they get up enough energy for fungal. Don't quite have it yet. We'll have it up in just a second. Man, he really needs that energy for fungal growth. Doesn't quite have it just yet, though. Does not have 1 fungal available, but his infestors getting a little overzealous there, pushing forward. Needs to be a little bit careful. He has a little bit of 1A syndrome right now with those infestors. He needs to be more careful with them. And there's the burrow. And oh, does he have detection? No, he does not have detection. Starting detection now. Needs to back up his infestors. Gets a fungal growth off on some of the burrowed roaches, though. Really good move there by Revival. And a couple of these burrowed roaches still hanging out here. Now up comes the Overseer, and he's going to actually clean up all these forces of Violet. I actually kind of feel like Violet may be getting a little bit over-aggressive at this point in time. Really should just drone up his third a little bit. Play a little more defensively. He could get quite a ways ahead of Revival if he could just play a little defensively and get up his drone count. But now Revival, after holding those couple of big pushes by Violet, is going to be moving forward over here towards the third base of Empire's Violet. And Violet might be counterattacking across the map at the exact same time. What's Revival going to do? Looks like he's going to turn around. Doesn't want to lose a natural in exchange for a third base. So he is going to go ahead and trap one roach. Violet will immediately retreat. Knows that he can't take on that army. Just too much tech in that army for Revival with all of those infestors. Now he's just going to work down his natural expansion rocks. We do see that Violet is going to burrow all of his roaches over here at this ramp, maybe trying to pick off the infestors as they push across, but now here comes a couple of Zerglings. There's not actually anything at this third base of Violet, as he has not droned this up at all during this entire time. Now it looks like we're going to have a big engagement over here. We do have Revival moving forward, did manage the fungal growth, and a couple of the roaches is going to trap all those roaches. Can he get off another fungal? Yes, he will. Traps a couple more of those roaches, and Violet is just donating forces to Revival right now. Finally starts to make a drone transfer after his main is just about mined out over here towards his third base. So just kind of trying to do basically a two-base all-in push into what's going to end up being an additional two-base all-in push. Now Revival, of course, was denied his third all of that time, but he was able to get up a lot of roach count, a good amount of infestors as well, and he definitely has the army advantage and supply advantage at 177 compared to the 158 of Empire's Violet. He's just going to move forward, and he's going to take on all of the roach forces of Violet, and I don't think Violet's going to be able to hold on. He is 2-1 compared to the 1-1. He has better upgrades, but does not have better tech. Here comes a couple of roaches to maybe trap the roaches of Revival. Those better upgrades paying off for him to an extent. Unit counting wise, guys, we see right now 39 compared to 14. Revival is winning this battle. Is Violet going to be able to hang on with those superior upgrades? I just don't think he is. And this is probably going to be GG. And Revival is going to take the lead once again. So it is going to be now 3-2 Revival. As we'll move into our next match. Alright guys, so I'm going to be hanging out here for just a second while the stream will catch up to me before I do go on break here. As we did see there, guys, TSL's Revival very convincingly taking that game. Violet went for that really big two-base roach push. Wasn't able to quite get anything done with it. And Revival was able to hold. And I gotta be honest in the future here, guys. I think I'm just gonna have them take this delay off of this stream quite so long, because it seems like it's quite long. Minute or two delay is normally not bad, but this seems pretty excessive if you guys ended up getting a commercial in the middle of the end of a game on one of those. So I apologize for that if that was indeed the case. I will try and make sure that the game is over. And oh lord, that stream is like 5 minutes delayed or more. So I apologize for that. I thought the stream delay was a minute or two. The stream appears to be about 5 or 6 minutes behind me, which is kind of extreme. So I'll see if I can get that adjusted in the future, because that really makes the production side for me quite a bit on the difficult side, because I just basically end up talking to you now for 5 minutes. So it makes the whole production deal a little bit more difficult. So I apologize if a game was cut off, guys. I'm actually watching right now the preview window so that I can go ahead and I'll go to a commercial break as soon as I do see that the game has ended, but it's a good chunk of minutes behind me here, so I apologize for that if I did cut off the ending of a game. But I honestly had no idea that the delay was quite as long as it is. And I'm sure you can tell how long that delay is by how long I've been sitting here talking to you randomly, because I am waiting for this to end. Alright guys, so it looks like the delay has finally caught up to me, so I'm going to go to a quick commercial break and I'll be back with game number 6 in just a minute.
I'm shooting video. I can also use the camera button to take photos at the same time.
The HTC-1.
PokerStrategy.com. Learn to win.
So guys, I am now back. I apologize for some of the commercial issues.
Available from T-Mobile.
I have to watch a commercial really quick. And then I'm going to try and see where I am at as far as the delay and all that garbage goes. Because apparently our delay is set at like 5 minutes right now on this stream, and I don't set the delay. So I apologize for that. I was basically killing about 2 minutes after the game of me talking, because I figured there was a minute or two delay, which is more than enough to make it fair. But it turned out it was like 5 minutes worth of delay, so I apologize that I cut off the end of a game or two. That was completely unintentional on my part. I can't watch the stream preview while I play because Twitch TV's stream preview plays sound, even if you have it muted, anytime you run a commercial, which is something you guys aren't going to want to hear in the middle of a match either. So I apologize for that I had to have the stream preview paused, and I didn't realize that it was actually breaking up the game. I thought we only had a minute or two delay, so I apologize for that, guys, that I cut off anything. You should have been good on that last game, though. So we're going to be moving into the next game. Of course, we did just see EmpireViolet lose, so that will put TSLRevival right now at game point at 3-2. So I'm going to be setting up that next game, guys. Apologize for what was going on with that once again. So as soon as I get that loaded up, we'll be going straight into our game number 6, as right now Revival is going to be up 3-2 as we get back into game mode here. And I'll make sure I take a note of that issue, guys, and I'll have them mess with the delay later on so that it won't be quite as extreme. So alright guys, we're moving into game number 6 of Revival versus Violet. So they are going to be moving to the map now. It looks like the choice by EmpireViolet is going to be Shakir's Plateau for game number 6. So we're about to find out, guys, will Violet be able to come back and tie this series up once again to force the game 7, or can Revival finally close out the series at 4-2 and continue on the tradition of the challenger actually taking out our final boss? We're about to find out, guys. Game number 6 coming up in just a moment. Alright guys, here we go into game number 6. As first off, going to be spawning as our purple Zerg representing Team Empire. We're going to have EmpireViolet. Then his opponent spawning over here as our pink Zerg player from Team the SCII Life. Right now at match point, up 3-2. Can he close out the series? We're about to find out. He is TSLRevival. And my zoom didn't work. Whoop. Totally discombobulated. Eliminated by that stream delay. So we do see right now the very early pull. We're going to have a 10 pull out of EmpireViolet. So it looks like he's going to try and get aggressive here with Revival once again. Do now see that Revival is just now getting his gas pool about to finish up momentarily here for EmpireViolet. Drone scout moving across the map here for Violet. Violet's probably going to like what he sees when he gets here because the pool just down right now for Revival. 8 Zerglings already on the way for EmpireViolet. And the drone pull. So this is going to be extremely all in. So whether or not Violet will continue on with this or if Revival will end up winning is really just going to come down to decision making here by TSLRevival. And there's the very early spine crawler. Now Revival did a very good job of checking for this. 3 drones will be enough to take this out. So Violet is going to want to cancel this because he doesn't want to lose the minerals. And Violet, ooh, just barely cancels it in time. Now restarts it once again. See the drones now retreating over here back towards the main base. Queen on the way. A couple of Zerglings on the way. Now here comes Zerglings over here towards the drone line. You see Revival actually bottling up all of his drones and then attacking out. Here comes a couple of Zerglings now out hatching. And now he allows the drones to spread out. And it looks like he's going to be able to clean up all of the Zerglings of Violet. Just one remaining, but that spine crawler is still a threat. Is he going to be able to finish it off? Yes. He should be able to finish it just before it can complete. Zerglings fighting each other once again. Spinecrawler does now finish up for EmpireViolet. We see Revival going ahead and attacking into it. Income-wise, now 10 Harvesters compared to just 4 because of how many Harvesters were pulled by Violet. Had he just pulled 1, he might have actually been in a better position. But now, Spinecrawler goes down, and Revival has held, and that is probably going to be game. Violet trying to build a couple of more Zerglings back home. Metabolic boost now on the way though for Revival. Violet is in a tough position to try and hold this. So we now see Revival moving across the map here. He's going to be going after these couple of Zerglings of Violet. Violet right now being forced to build nothing but Zerglings. Only has 4 drones to his name. This has got to be a terrible feeling for Violet as he basically has to try and go for a counter push and get something done. We do now see Revival building nothing but Zerglings. Metabolic boost about halfway done. We'll be finishing up shortly. And oh, he's going to squeak by with a couple of Zerglings. And they're going to actually get into the main while Violet's rallying his Zerglings across the map. He's going to need to realize that this is going on as a counterattack comes. And now Revival's just going to hold at the top of his ramp. His Zerglings coming over here into the main. Going to be able to clean up the rest of the drones of Violet. And there is the GG. Well played. And now Revival is going to end up winning this series 4-2. So congrats to TSLRevival taking the series 4-2 over EmpireViolet. Very well played game by Revival there, holding off that push by EmpireViolet. Violet went for the 10 pull, couldn't quite get it done, and as a result, Revival was able to take the win. So congrats to Revival. He will end up winning the $150 and continuing our tradition of winning all of the final boss heads-up matches, as our final boss for the first 3 weeks ends up being 0-3. Damaga, Destiny, and Violet all losing. So the question is, what final boss is going to finally break this losing streak and end up winning? But congrats to TSLRevival as he ends up taking the 4-2 victory over EmpireViolet. Gets that $150 prize. Now, Violet, of course, does not go home empty-handed as our final boss. He will get a $100 payout. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at GoForNerdski. I apologize a bit for some of the troubles with the stream. I will address that with the Zeke administrators to make sure that they do something about that delay. Because I got to be honest, guys, as I'm wrapping up here talking to you, I'm actually watching the game still finish up, and it's got quite a ways to go. So I apologize for the fact that that ended up happening like that, guys. I'll do my best to get a hold of one of them and get something done about the amount of delay time that they currently have built into the stream. A minute should be plenty enough, especially considering the delay you get naturally of about a minute from just the way streaming works. It's always about a minute delayed just by default. So if you put a minute delay on a stream, you end up with about 2 minutes delay, and it's not a big deal. But right now it's at about like 5 minutes. So I'll get that addressed for you guys, I promise, before we end up moving into what will be our final table and heads up for tomorrow. That should be starting, I'm not 100% sure at the time. I'd have to double check. But you can look it up. It's up on Team Liquid. You can also check it at Zeke.com. They will have the final table and heads up for those listed there. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Congrats to TSLRevival on the victory. I'm going to run a couple of commercials as I get out of here, guys. But thank you very much for tuning in. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, and peace easy for now, guys. I'm out.
first day of Christmas, Blizzard gave to me a brand new SCV. On the second day of Christmas, Blizzard gave to me 2 Terran Wraiths and a brand new SCV. On the third day of Christmas, Blizzard gave to me 3 Marines, 2 Terran Wraiths, and a brand new SCV.
On the fourth day of Christmas, Blizzard gave to me 4 Hydrolisks,
3 Three Marines, 2 Terran Wraiths, and a brand new SCV.
On the 8th day of Christmas, Blizzard gave to me 8 Archons burning, 6 Zealots fighting, 3 Marines, 2 Terran Wraiths, and a brand new SCV. On the 9th day of Christmas, Blizzard gave to me 9 battle cruisers, power overwhelming, 6 Zealots fighting, 3 Marines, 2 Terran Wraiths, and a brand new SCV. On the 10th day of Christmas, Blizzard gave to me 10 Ultralisks, 9 battle cruisers, terror all-consuming, 6 Zealots fighting, 3 Marines, 2 Terran Wraiths, and a brand new SCV. On the 11th day of Christmas, Blizzard gave to me 11 science vessels, 9 battle cruisers. I hate all this singing. 6 Zealots fighting, 3 Marines, 2 Terran Wraiths, and a brand new SCV. On the 12th day of Christmas, Blizzard gave to me 12 Arbiters, 11 science vessels, 10 Ultralisks, 9 battle cruisers, 8 Archons burning, 6 Zealots fighting, 3 Marines, 2 Terran Wraiths, and a brand new SCV. Why am I so jolly? Hey, who spiked the eggnog?